Making the intro video for our Sunday school class of March 22nd. Thank you for watching. Your class will be about the day of Pentecost, or in other words, the birthday of the church as a community of faith, where people gather to acknowledge the power of God, which is found in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 1 to 41. But for our particular lesson, I would like to focus on verses 1 to 13. To start the class, I will do a game with them. I will take pieces of paper with names of animals and have the students talk for about 2 or 3 minutes only in the sound of the animal that they have picked, and then have them guess what animal they are representing, and talk about how it feels to speak a different language. Have them to recognize the animal and acknowledge that they need help from studying and from school and from their experiences to figure out what animal it was. And then tell them that there's a story in the Bible of people who were talking in different languages and that they were able to understand each other by the power of the Holy Spirit. Before reading the lesson, I will ask them, what do they know about the Holy Spirit? Last week, we talked a little bit about what does the Holy Spirit do, but they couldn't tell me really well what the Holy Spirit was. So I will ask them again what they consider to be the Holy Spirit. And then read Acts 2, verses 1 through 13. On this lesson, I will say that the purpose of this lesson is to learn a little bit about the Holy Spirit and the miracles that we achieve through the Holy Spirit, and to identify the Holy Spirit as a person of the Trinity. We know a lot about God the Father, about Jesus the Son, but we really don't know a lot about the Holy Spirit. And the book of Acts talks a lot about the Holy Spirit. It's good to remind them that we got the Holy Spirit after Jesus went to heaven, ascended to heaven. And telling them that God gave us the Holy Spirit to be with us, to give us the power that we need, and to witness Jesus Christ. Tell them that there is something called a Trinity, where God, Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are working together. They are not 3 gods. They're one God sharing one identity, the same substance. So that might be a little bit confusing for them to understand, but they tell them that that's mystery, and as a church, we have accepted that mystery, and we worship God in that knowledge. Now, going back to this story, tell them that the Pentecost was a Jewish feast that was celebrated during the harvest, when the people will give their first fruits of their harvest to God and trust God to supply the rest. This is very important because this is the beginning of the birthday of the church as a community, as we have it now. Tell them that there was a gathering of believers in Jesus Christ, and they trusted in Jesus' words, that if they trusted in Him, Jesus will give them the power, a power that will be able to witness to His life and continue the proclamation of the good news. They were expecting a power from Jesus. Now, the power is not like superhero powers. It's not super strength. It's not, supervision or lasers or, super strength. It's encouragement. The encouragement that we get from the Holy Spirit can only be compared to the encouragement that we receive from parents to do something new. Like when you started to go on a bike, ask them if they had their parents and always encourage them, you can do it, you can do it, you can achieve this. When they're in a game, or they are tired, or they're going through a really rough time, or they're sick, tell them that sometimes the parents give us that extra boost of energy to accomplish something amazing. And then ask them to multiply that by an infinite amount of times. And that is the power of the Holy Spirit. It's an encouragement. It's like a boost of energy that we receive from God that allows to know Christ more. So on this particular feast of the Pentecost, the Christians at that time, the followers of Christ, were gathering. And there was this power that came upon them. And it was shown tongues of fire that allows them to speak in different languages and understand each other. You know, that talks about community. That talks about how we are united despite our differences. Just like the animals in the earlier game, you know, we recognize that they're animals and we can communicate even though we don't understand what we're saying. We can understand that the message of love is what unites us. In this particular, people gave their first fruit, which is their life. And God gave them the power of the Holy Spirit. God supplied them with everything that they needed spiritually. That is the key word. It's not that God, cannot give you everything that you need, but God specifically gives you what you need for your spiritual life. Comparing the power of the Holy Spirit to the power of love that you receive from parents is something that they can relate. So that's something that perhaps will be helpful to them to understand. Remind them that the power of the Holy Spirit is not a physical power, but a spiritual power. And that we get that power if we trust it in God. When our heart is broken, where we have questions in our minds, the Holy Spirit is what guides us to the light. So it's very important to start talking to the kids about the power of the Holy Spirit that is with us at all times, and especially when we are in church. Thank you for watching. I hope you have fun.